Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's FPV podcast. This week, we have a more of an informational podcast, something that we've been meaning to do, and we have somebody that has a lot of experience in running good races for both, novice, intermediate, and pro classes, and he's here to share a lot of knowledge and also to help his chapter try to organize some things. But before we get into all of that, Elvin, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everybody. I hope y'all enjoying the season. Let's get them shorties out. I got the twin quads 2.5 out, man. Everybody's having fun running 4S on those things because you don't have a lot of time to fly. So you have to utilize the smaller areas wherever you go. So take your little 2.5 inch with you and go rip it like at lunchtime.
There you go. It's good advice right there. Brian West, please introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. My name is Brian West. I organize a drone racing group in Chicago. The name is Chicago Drone Racers. And I'm here to really talk about our summer and winter seasons going forward. We have a dome that has been kind enough to let us use for a nominal fee to allow guys to fly during these cold winter months.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're here to talk about how to get in there, who can come, who can't come, and get into, exactly how we run things. So,
yeah.
Definitely. That's cool. So the basis for this is we want the chapters to get a lot of information on how they can schedule their events in accordance to how Chicago Drone Racers does it. Because if you don't know that area, there's a lot of pro racers in that area. I mean, there's quite a few of them from DRL, and then the people that aren't in DRL, they're really going very far into the multi-GP, championships and things like that. So they have a wealth of knowledge. They have some really great racers, but they're also interested in growing the novice class and, getting to make sure that the community continues to grow. So we're trying to help them along with that, in which we're just trying to spread the word of how they're organizing it so that when you show up, you don't feel like you're out of place, because there's definitely a place for you anywhere you go.
And we all recognize the fact that everywhere you go and you go to race or you go to see a race, it's intimidating. You get there and, things that's trying to happen. People are, you're seeing guys trying to take control and trying to do what they're supposed to do and keep, to get 7 people on the line can be a pain in the ass from time to time. So, absolutely. And then you got to do it over and over and over and over. And hopefully in the process, they get better and better, and the time frames get pretty reduced. But, we all recognize that, and we want y'all to no one wants you not to feel like you're welcome when you show up at one of these events. We want you to be welcome, but you just got to understand that there's a time and a place to do it. If you come early, then there's more time to do other things and add on and make things a more expansive event for you too.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yep. So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brian.
Oh yeah. Well, what I wanted to say was I started back here in early 2015, and I was one of those same guys that was intimidated. Mm-hmm. And at the time, here in Chicago, it was Go Drone X with Greg Novosad, who had offered racing at the time, and when he does a great job at getting people in the door. He does a great job of setup. But what I saw and what I took home from that was that we needed to keep that going as guys got better and became more proficient at racing and flying together in groups specifically. Those guys tend to start to forget about that when they were rookies and they were trying to get their and they didn't know what 25 milliwatt was, and they didn't know what AMA was, which, that happens still today, by the way. It's one of those things where I've just hung on to that throughout the years doing this. And I've always been cognizant of making sure that I never forgot about that. And I wanted to make sure that we always will offer something like that. And, cause I get people all the time on our Facebook page asking and, questioning things. And, there's so many people that give us so much information and help those guys, but they want to go out and actually do it. Talking about it and talking about how to solder on a flight controller is all fine and dandy, but going out and actually doing it is a whole other ball of wax. And people are just intimidated by it, at least in this area. And we're trying to, open our hands to everybody. So we'll make everybody happy, which is really hard to do, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's one of those things where it's in all areas, right? Because when we have events, we always have new people come in and they're asking questions. And, as an organizer, I'm sure you get this too, Brian, like you get a little tired of answering the same question or but you realize, and I'm glad you're one of them, is that you have to do it because that's the only way to grow the community. And in all honesty, I think Multi GP needs to really start looking into that as some of these seasoned chapters, tier 1, tier 2, whatever, like they need to start implementing some novice rules so that these chapters, they don't forget about the new guys that are trying to come in because, they're so used to running these, fast races with low cycle times. Like that generally doesn't happen when novices come in, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about, is because, well, let's go ahead and talk about what you're doing for the winter. So Brian, tell us what you're doing for the winter in Chicago.
Okay, currently that we're into our third season with dome racing, and we start around November 30th, just after Thanksgiving. We go up until when the weather starts to improve, so call it March, April here for us. We do every Thursday night for that time frame, about 20 events or so that we cater to novice to pro to intermediate pilots. We're here to help, instruct, and also give enough time in between heats for novice pilots to feel like they're not being rushed, confused. What happens on the line when they're up in the air is they just crash out, right? And they get discouraged, and then they're hesitant to come back the next week because that same environment is going to be there.
Right.
So we are trying to utilize the Thursdays to get as many people out here as possible and give them as many opportunities to come out here as possible to, enjoy this hobby with a group of people to get themselves immersed. And not only that, but if you don't have the equipment, come on out here, spectate with us the first night, second night, do what you need to do, get on board with everybody, and then come on out here and rip it up. And I'm telling you, there's so many people that come here from, night to night that are just so helpful in trying to grow this hobby that a lot of times that gets lost in translation when you see guys talking about the race they won and how they're getting sponsored and all these things, which is, it's awesome, but guys get intimidated by that, and whether we like it or not, and that's just the way it is. And I'm here to let bus pilots know that we're here for you, and there's winter racing going on here, and there's winter fun flights going on here that you should be a part of, and there should be no excuses.
Cool. So
come on out, make it out.
Definitely. And so let's go ahead and dive into what the Thursday is. Obviously, what you said is Thursdays is friendly for beginners. So when they decide they want to come on out, like what are the general tips that you would give to a person that's brand new, that's about to come out and see you for the first day?
Okay. So the first experience coming out and flying with us at any kind of group organized event, we do encourage strongly that you do come out and spectate and ask a million questions. That's first and foremost. Bring your equipment with us. Take a look at it when we're in between, and we can kind of give you some tips, really just to kind of break the ice, get you in the door, right? And then, what we want to do is, if they have any questions, to ask beforehand. Get out there and just ask questions. Get on board, and more importantly, it's something where I'm going to tiptoe around what I'm about to say. There's this thing that that goes on with any kind of competition, that people kind of get a little edgy, and I don't want to see that happening, and I don't want new guys to feel like they can't come. So basically the process is for Thursdays, come on out, first time out, take a look, get a feel for it. We do offer two pro groups and two novice groups. We try to keep it around 32 guys that come out here. We've had more, but we do kind of cap it off at 32 to, somewhere in that 40 range for each night, just to kind of keep things moving and get packs in. And we encourage guys to get on those novice heats so that, if they have any issues with video and whatnot, we can kind of keep everything segregated from the guys that know their stuff is legit. And then we really stress a lot of different types of TBS. We're doing the Unified Pro here, which is one of the big ones. Tramp, obviously, which you can buy at www.hellination.com, which is one of our big you guys told me to mention it. Great pop. And I'm trying, man. I'm trying. But there's one of our big sponsors out here that takes care of us real well. And, and they know you guys have the you guys have some of the one of the up and coming pilots here. They're just moving big time. So, but to get back to Thursdays, we call it a fun fly instead of a race for the Thursdays to kind of take that racing element out of it. But make no mistake, there's guys here that are competing. There's guys here that are flying fast, and the courses are, is just as professional as anybody else is going to give you. So, it's one of those things where we make sure that in between heats, you're getting enough time to prepare yourself to get to the next heat, next race. And it's just, we're slowing things down enough to the point where you don't have to feel like you're rushed, and you don't have to feel like you're behind because everybody else is telling you, go, 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 go.
Yeah, definitely.
We're just really focusing hardcore on the slowing down of that night just to get them in there and then maybe boost them up. We look at Thursdays as like a farm system to get guys into the race element so they can come on the Saturdays and be competitive and have fun.
No, that is really good to hear because, I mean, there's also things called like racing fatigue for pros, right? I'm starting to see some of the pros, they're starting to scale back a little bit less on the racing.
Like flies.
And like you can ping a few of them to, say, hey, maybe you don't want to be wrecking stuff all week now, but you can come out still, kind of be a part of the community, help out the novices so that we can still keep growing so that when you feel like racing again, the community will be bigger and better. But more to the point, what you're saying is so true, is that we need to continue to grow our community. And I just want to share some thoughts on what I've learned as, somebody organizing races. It's definitely great if you come out and spectate the first time, ask a bunch of questions. Definitely contact whoever the race organizer is and just get to know their name because they're going to be really friendly. They're going to introduce you to a whole bunch of people that they know will be helpful so that you can, feel like you can ask questions from those people because they understand that if the race director says, hey, let me introduce this new guy, what I'm really saying is you better help him and you better answer all his questions because that's why I'm introducing you. So those are things that you can keep track of and And I will also say this, especially if you're going into a very competitive racing division, kind of like in the Chicago area, spend some time to practice on gates individually, and you will have a much more happier time when you go to an event and actually compete in heats because you don't really want to learn how to fly through a gate in that type of environment because you're just going to be crashing out all the time. You really want to practice. I'll let you talk in a second. You really want to spend your time practicing gates on your own time so you can practice at your own speed, at your own flow. It's really important. It's not that hard to get some PVC pipe, 5x5 gate, fly through it 100 times, and then you're going to have a fun time. Okay, Elvin, you can talk now.
So this is like where my big Excel thing is, right? In the beginning, I'm the one that determined that 1.5 inch PVC was the way to go because I went out and bought some 1/2 inch. Next weekend I went and bought some 3/4 and then 1 inch and then found out that the hardest one was to break and to be easy to transport was 1.5 inch, right? Because if you cut the pipes right, you can fit 3 gates in a backpack, and that's what I did. So, I mean, of course, they're 4 foot tall, but they're sticking out of the backpack, but they're in there and I don't have to worry about losing them. I just got to duck when I'm going down through the trees. But what I'm getting to is that the fact is that you get out there, you build your own gates, you practice a little bit, you get comfortable. The thing is to get comfortable with your ship. The sooner you get comfortable with your ship, that means the more comfortable you're going to be flying around other guys. That's very important.
Yeah, you're going to get those race shooters no matter how.
Everybody gets them.
Yeah. You have to shake those off, and the only thing you can do to shake them off is just have that little bit of confidence knowing that you can hit that gate. You just need to calm down, chill out, and just get through it. But to more on your point on the awareness of getting things and what to expect at a race, I have one of my friends who's a member of Chicago Drone Racers that does some video editing, and we put out a video last year. It was what to expect at Dome night, and it goes over the basics of VTX, spotters, lap counting. Listen to the organizer for changes in race cycle. Just the whole process of what we do, helping set up and helping break down. The whole entire thing is on a video that you can check. Just type in, Chicago Drone Racers, what to expect at Dome nights. Where we just finished shooting one last week at our first Dome race here, and we're about to release the second one that's going to be a little bit more finer detailed, so that we have that media for us to kind of go to, as well as hopefully this podcast will offer some.
That's great.
Guidance.
Yeah, definitely send us those links, and then we'll try to put it into the description. I got them. So
that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. So definitely on Thursdays, check them out. Where can they easily contact you to kind of get a feel for when they should show up and all that stuff?
The easiest thing that we're doing right now, we do have a website. We don't use it all that much. We just don't have time to keep up with it. But you can reach us on Facebook at Chicago Drone Racers, and join the group there and just start messaging me, Brian West. You can hit up any one of the admins that are on the page there. You'll see some familiar names in the admin group there, and just post on the page. I mean, there's not a post that doesn't get answered, doesn't get helped out, doesn't get acknowledged. So it's a good wealth of information to get from our page. At the very least, you're not going to be ignored, and you'll get an answer for what you need to do.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Sounds good. So there you go. So Thursdays nights, you kind of know what to expect now. And for other organizers that, like you're a veteran group, but you're not really, getting a whole lot of novices coming in, you might want to consider doing something like this to have a novice night, or in combination with your pro nights, some sort of combination, or you can just have a novice night. Depends on what you want to do. And to help grow your own community, because it's a really good idea. I mean, at the end of the day, it just is.
Yeah, and the more the merrier. That's what it's all about. Isn't the hobby about getting people to get out there and put smiles on their faces and do and just have fun?
Yeah, definitely.
If you're turning away the new guys, it's just no fun. And then the pro guys are racing the same guys every day. That's no fun.
Yep, it's true. And if you're a sponsored pilot, that's a good thing to do, because as a sponsored pilot, that's kind of part of your job. Okay, so we talked enough about Saturdays. On Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Now talk to me about your Saturdays.
Okay, so Saturdays is what you would consider, what we like to consider is the Catalina wine mixer for winter drone racing. It is a full-on. I hope you got that reference. It's basically a full-on blowout race. We're doing 8 up. We're doing minimum cycle times, getting massive packs in, 4 hours worth of racing in the dome. There's food included, drinks, prize money, raffles up the wazoo are coming on those nights. And we also offer ground stations for pilots for diversity, to maximize the video in there, which we don't have an issue with. And this is something that I do want to mention as well. The dome is a big blown up balloon. There is no multi whatsoever in this place. If you have problems with your video, it is most likely your problem. And that's it is. And if you guys organize races, you will know that trying to weed out what the problem is great when you can eliminate a lot of just the environment to take it out of. And we did some testing about 2 years ago in there. We did some pretty severe testing with 8 up, with 25, with 100, with 200 milliwatt. And it, obviously it was when that 25 milliwatt debacle was, under scrutiny. And then I'd Be Crazy was the one that put out 16 pilots out at the, something in Muncie. And then we just went with 25, and it's just made life so much easier.
Right.
But we offer ground stations, the whole shebang bang, everything that you can think of at a drone race we're getting. We got netting that comes down on the mezzanine for the Golf Dome. So we're fully protecting our pilots. It's AMA required, so keep that in mind. It's really just geared around trying to get the pros a little time in to have some fun, and hopefully the novice guys come out, and hopefully they get to the point where maybe mid-season of our winter they're able to move their way into that race to be competitive. But we encourage everybody to come out and spectate. There's plenty of seats to spectate at this place, protected, like I said, with the netting. It's a full blown board deal. And myself will be organizing races, and my buddy from Milwaukee Rotorcross MRX, Mike Olivier, who is more point man. He's if he was on this podcast, you guys wouldn't get a word in edgewise at all. He's once you give him the microphone, that's it. He's going to melt the batteries all day and on him, and you're not going to get the mic back from him. But between me and him, we're running stuff over here. We're doing a really good job of trying to solidify the best of in an environmental drone race.
Yeah, that sounds good. So basically, on Saturday nights, it's not every Saturday, right? It's only on select Saturdays.
Currently, yes, we're doing one Saturday a month. So we'll be doing one here in December 16th. The other dates, you'd have to jump on our Facebook page. I want to say the January 20th will be the next one, and then February 20th as well. And then March, I'm sorry, I don't know the date at the moment. But, yeah, it's one Saturday a month that we're doing things here.
So
we're thinking about –
Yeah, so Thursdays it's weekly, but Saturdays, that's the big event per month night.
Correct. And we wanted to go to Saturdays every week, but there is actually another RC club here that flies airplanes and helicopters every Friday and Saturday night, and they've been doing it in this dome for about 10 years. They're we don't want to step on anybody else's toes in the hobby, so we're just we'll sit back, we'll take our Thursdays, and we'll take our one Saturday a month. It's a little easier on me. My wife likes the idea of one Saturday a month only, so it works out well, and we're hoping to gain some more members just from the airplanes and heli side of the thing. And I just want to work together with everybody.
I'm surprised you don't get a lot of interaction from them, because they've been doing that for a long time, and there's a lot of guys I know some of the guys that do that, and they're cross blends. Let's just say cross disciplines.
They should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. There's cross discipline, especially in helicopters. They've already been pig tuning it for forever.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect segue. But there's that. We're always talking about that helicopter and airplane debacle. That's always been that thing. At the time when helicopters came into the scene, they were the bad sheep, the black sheep of the hobby. And now it's the drone guys. It's the FPV. It's the FAA is coming down on us because of us. And I'm trying to stem all that. That's why I've been fighting really hard for the FPV in our force reserves here in Cook County, Chicago. We've been working hand in hand on allowing gates and flags to be put up on fields that won't infringe upon airplanes and helis without pulling permits. Chicago has a big hand that you need to feed. Everybody wants to get paid, but they've been very helpful in allowing us to set up gates and flags and fly the way we want to fly.
You mean what you're saying is there's no commissioner of drone race gates?
No, there isn't. However, there are some rules out there. If you set up any kind of obstacle on a forest reserve property, that does warrant a permit, and the permits are steep. We have segued some of that, and we've kind of shooken off some of that ruling to allow guys to set up pool noodle gates, less intrusive looking,
right?
But recreationally whenever they want. So 5 guys can go to a couple of drone sanctioned areas in Cook County and fly the way they want with gates without pulling a permit and having to do an event. So that's a huge hurdle that it took probably about 2 years to kind of overcome, and I thought it was a huge win for us, and I think it's going to do nothing but help.
Definitely. That sounds really good. So back on to Saturdays. Now, Saturdays, it's one of those things where you definitely want to know what you're doing. You want to have a few races under your belt on Thursdays so that you can just go in there and you can just know what you're doing and get into the lines and then be able to just, knock out the heats and go through all of the rounds and just to have fun. But you're definitely there to compete on Saturdays.
Yes, competition is fierce on Saturdays. Like you said, you'd mentioned there's a lot of pilots in the Chicagoland area that are very competitive. And there's no shortage of of serious racing going on here on Saturdays. That's what we structured it around for Saturdays. That's why that's why we wanted to segregate some of the Thursdays and the Saturdays so that we can keep everybody flying, but have everybody fly the way that they prefer to fly given their skill level. So you expect on Saturdays, it's a serious environment where, we're moving along. There's no chit chat. It's time to, have fun, but at the same time, let's get some packs in and get some winners on the podium.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So what kind of format are you expecting to see on a Saturday?
Format wise, as far as
the races, yeah.
Well, we're going to do 8 up. We usually do 5 rounds, drop the lowest, and then I don't know if we're going to incorporate a qualifying. We usually try to get like 2 qualifying rounds in, but given our time constraints here and the dome is not the cheapest, we may drop that. We'd love to have the qualifying rounds in there, but I think we're going to try to keep it at 5 to 6 rounds tops. We do expect to see anywhere from 30 to 50 pilots on Saturdays. So
wow,
it's something where, well, you know what, I'm not that I'm boasting at all, but we've had some whoop events last year and the year before that we saw 75 pilots at. So, try managing that. We tried 8 up inside a building that had metal ceilings. We went 8 up with 5 human beings the first heat. No one flew. So we had to go back down to 5 in a second. We had to have everybody re-register, get back on the board again. Oh, it was a nightmare.
Oh, man.
But we got through it, and 75 people came out, and it was a great time. It's one of those nights that, I actually enjoy doing because it's a little bit more lax. But to get back on more on Saturdays, Saturdays, dead serious stuff going on over there. Because when money's involved, you kind of have to take things serious. I think we're going to involve, we have an event tracker. We're going to do FPV live stream. We're going to have that all set up. Corey's been working with us on all that, and we're looking to make it big.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely sounds like a lot of fun.
Not really anybody. Yeah, there's really no other clubs doing anything, so why not? Why not do it?
Why not?
Yeah, it's still pretty hard to find an indoor environment. You guys are pretty lucky. For those of you who don't know, the dome that we've been talking about, I think it used to be a golf dome, and it is a golf dome.
Yeah.
It is currently. It's White Pines Golf Dome in Bensenville, Illinois.
There you go. So, and you were saying that it was 300 feet by 300 feet?
Yes, 90,000 square feet, and the highest point is 100 feet up.
So this is a very large area in which flying is definitely capable. I can see why people can fly airplanes and helis in there because you don't generally find facilities like those just hanging around that's willing to let you fly in. The owner or the proprietor, whoever it may be, they have to be willing to let you do a lot of strange things, probably in their books, to let you do through that. So it's really lucky that Chicago has something like that available to them throughout the wintertime to race.
Oh, I believe me, I feel blessed. I called literally probably 30 domes before we settled on this one, and all of them were either give us $700 an hour or no.
Yeah.
Which $700 a crack doesn't really,
Yeah, 700 divided by 30. Nope, that doesn't work out. Math does not work.
Right.
Yeah, we get some hardcore ones, but maybe a couple, not much.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So that's go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, we're definitely blessed to have White Pines. I'm constantly, reconfirming the relationship here and making sure that we're not overstepping our bounds, and we're just here to have fun. And I'm here for the long game to provide longevity with this dome, because they're so open-minded for what we want to do. So, and we're blessed for that. We're definitely blessed in that sense.
Cool.
So I like the fact that that us organizers, we have to recognize a few people in our groups, and so in that thought process, who is the most funniest person that you deal with usually on a Thursday or a Saturday?
Like pilot or anybody else?
Yeah, I mean the guy that's there all the time, that's always helping out. That's the guy I'm talking about. It's always cheerful, laughing, cracking jokes.
Yep, That's the guy who helps me run this place. It's Mike Olivier for Milwaukee Motocross. He's like a big, burly clown that just loves getting on the mic and making everybody laugh. And his content, as stale as it can get sometimes, is still entertaining because he's just one of those guys that has that gift of gab. And I wouldn't see anybody else on the mic. So
nice.
I would have to say it was him for sure, by far. No questions asked. His live feeds on Facebook are usually, small little miracles of heaven that you watch. So I'm just giving him a big head right now. He's going to be here in about 10 minutes. And
that's so funny.
He's going to be all over it. But Mike definitely takes the cake on that. That's for sure.
Pretty cool. So definitely, if you haven't checked out Chicago Drone Racers and you want to get into it, or maybe you already have gotten into it, and in your area you just don't have a place to race, you definitely want to check them out because, when we have events in our area, we have people drive from an hour and a half to 2 hours out. So, if you're willing to do that, Chicago, they got a lot of roads leading to Chicago. So you might be able to enjoy yourself, on one of the main events. If you're a vet of racing, you're probably going to be able to show up on Saturday nights and be perfectly fine. As long as you know how to work your VTX, because I do know a lot of veterans that, till this day, they still don't know how to change channels easily on their VTX.
I still have problems with a Unify or unlocking a Unify. I don't know why, but it's just that thing for me. Hey,
every time
for me?
It's like you're in the middle of that in between heats and you have to change over for whatever reason because you have to switch quads and you didn't update that one. And it's like, boy, that extra LED light on that thing could help at this moment, instead of counting, you could go to the second light. But, believe me, we've been through that a million times. But
it gets me all the time. And I there's a guy that I fly with, constantly, like whenever I put a new Unify on, I walk over to him and I hand him my ship and I say, "Can you unlock it for me, please?"
One of these days, I'm going to be like 25 milliwatts and smart audio certified only. One of these days, I'm going to make that a rule.
It's coming. I'm sure it's coming.
Remote control. You put a remote control in my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's coming.
It is coming, but I won't do that just yet.
Radio Spectrum release today?
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a bad boy right there.
All right, Elvin, go ahead.
I just moved over to the dark side. I just bought my first Tyrannus, and I've been flying airplanes, 3D airplanes, for up to 16 years, flying mostly Spectrum. Before Spectrum was Futaba, but I just recently bought my first Tyrannus, and then Spectrum goes and releases a radio like that. I'm like, good.
All right, Elvin, you brought it up, so you get us the 40% discount, and we'll buy two.
Hey, all I know is I don't have one. I'm pissed.
Oh, we're counting on you to get us some at 40% discount.
We're just down the road from Horizon Hobby. They're actually one of our sponsors, by the way.
You would be more apt to getting one than I am. Damn it.
Oh, there we go.
I'm the black sheep.
They're calling it the Spectrum guys.
There we go.
Maybe a couple favors or something if I have any clout with them.
Yep.
All right.
You got clout.
Oh dear. We won't go there. Next podcast on that one. So let's continue on. Definitely check them out if you are. So before we jump into a completely different segment, why don't you tell us a little bit about your summer league so that for people that might listen to this a few months down the line, they might be interested in how it changes over to the summer season.
Okay. Yeah, the summer season for us is the last couple of years have been difficult. We've had some issues with location problems, things like that. But this season, we've had some pretty big news come along where we now have a field. We will be having a field. We're starting our own AMA club. We're going to charter the club. We're going to set up, we're going to call this a home field. And this field that I'm talking about, it has its own FPV field, completely segregated from airplanes and helicopters on the other side of the parking lot. And it is just for FPV, period. And we are excited about that. We're hoping to start some membership, as any AMA club would be. And with that membership fee, we're hoping to include 4 events that wouldn't cost anybody any money. And we would just go there and set up shop and have a great time over there. just do it up. Attached with that, we're also thinking, because we have the segregation of the helicopters, airplanes, and drones, FPV, we're all actually trying to have a big, like, mini E-Fest where we have helicopter show. We, aside from drone guys being on the up and ups here, we also, helicopter pilots here in this region are fierce. We have some of the top in the world that actually fly at this field that I'm mentioning.
That's true. That is true. There's some bad boys that live in Chicago, but that's for sure.
Yep. And we're looking to do a combined effort to get all the hobbies finally let's get together and just have some fun. We want to do an airplane show. We want to do a heli fun fly, and we want to do a drone race. That's what we're to get.
Brian, I've been saying this. I'd like to see a multidiscipline competition. How well can you fly a glider? How well can you fly a helicopter? How well can you fly an airplane?
Oh, yeah.
Go through 3D competition. You have to do 2 or 3 3D moves, and how well you do it, you get ranked on it. I've said this before. That's the thing that I've always dreamed about right there, is that you go up there and you do your helicopter, routine, then you do your airplane routine. Guess you could do your quad routine or race with other guys, and how well you fit in that race depends on your point ranking. That would be a event I would definitely have to show up to.
What you
show up to that as well.
What you just said is you want an RC triathlon or an RC Ironman, in which you have to do every one of those and they get scored.
RC Olympics.
Now you have to move to South Korea for that. I'm sorry to tell you.
Hey, I know I can live there. That's not a problem for me.
Yeah, you try that. Let me know. So that is pretty cool.
Now, South. You didn't say nothing about the North.
Yeah, that's true. I did say South. So for the summer season, are you still doing your routine in terms of Thursdays and Saturdays? It's just that you're doing it outside, so that you don't have to incur that facility fee.
We're always going to keep somewhat of a separation between novice and pro. The 4 events that I'm speaking of are definitely going to be more competitive events for professional pilots. But it's not to say we're fooling around the idea of including some kind of novice round in there where we can get a few new guys out to try out racing in the summer. But aside from those 4 events, we'll most likely, because we don't have to pull permits all the time for events there to get together, we're going to do more just chill out, come on by, bring your tent, bring a generator, set up shop, and let's put up some gates, and let's just go have some fun. We're going to do, let's call that a fun fly as well. But those are going to be less evented, that's not even a word, but less event type. I know I'm making up stuff as I go here. But what we want to do is we want to have 4 events that brings in some competition for guys, and then we'll have some fun flies and get-togethers, we'll call it, for novice guys and pro guys. Hopefully, we'll come on out and give us a hand with helping them out and getting them par with stuff.
Okay,
we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, sounds good. So, and most of that information, or all of that information, is kind of in your Facebook group. So if you just join that, you kind of get up-to-date information on all of the planning throughout the year.
Yep.
Our winter season schedule is our group photo, so you cannot miss it. And I update on there every day. So if you're not getting information, it's because you're not knowing how to navigate Facebook too well. So I've been criticized for how much I post on there. So
that's not a bad thing. Keeping everybody up to date is a good thing.
I don't have a bullhorn, so I gotta do it through my fingers.
Oh, right. There we go. We need a Chicago drone racer bullhorn. There we go. Listen, like, you guys in Chicago, you know what to get them for a Christmas gift now. You just asked.
Right. I mean, it's not expensive.
Thomas might be the guy to get with.
There we go. Actually, you kind of just broke the breaking news, which is a really good thing, is that you're going to get your own flying field, which is congratulations on that, because that's a big step in going in the right direction, is when you get your own field and you really have the liberty to kind of do everything that you want without having to ask permission from other RC groups because, it takes a while if you do that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. We're very proud of that move, and we're going to take full advantage of it. That is for sure.
Yes, definitely. It's one of those things where people have asked me, and I've always encouraged them to go down the charter route and get their own field because, believe it or not, like most cities, they're looking for ideas on how to use their parklands because in a lot of places, it's kind of underutilized. I mean, you go out to parks, there's not that many people utilizing the parks. Not if it's a especially good one down at the waterfront or something like that, you're not going to get that field. You're going to get the field in the background, okay? But it's still a good field.
Yeah, for us here, man, it's a fight. We're fighting for the field all year round, even now. We go out there and the little kids show up, and then the families are out there, and next thing you know, you got the park is full. Even soccer season is over. So, but that's because it's close and we're in a tight knit neighborhood, and it's not a lot of area to run across to go play here and there in your area.
There's definitely that, and then there's the other aspect of it where if you show up at a soccer field, you're constantly looking over your shoulder, and you're constantly making sure, because you have that feeling in the back of your head, in the back of your mind, saying, "When am I going to get booted from here?"
Exactly.
That's the other feeling. It's like I go and have fun. I get an RC to have fun. I'm a business owner, so I'm stressed out 99 of 100 times.
Right.
And I'll tell you that last thing I want to do is come and go fly my quad and feel like I'm going to get arrested or ticketed. I don't need that.
That's true.
I'm a grown man. I don't need tickets like that. So.
No.
I agree with you. It's like
we just got to be aware. That's all. That's it. Like here in Portland, there's one park. For all the pilots here in Portland, there is one park that you cannot fly in, and I guarantee you, if you fly in that park, you will know, like within 5 minutes, you cannot fly there, and you'll get a ticket. And I've seen guys argue the point with the police officer, but they still go home with a ticket. And it's the only park because it's right next to a retirement home where they got a lot of older folks that are on machines. So they don't want nothing. And I mean, that makes sense to me. That's why I don't fly there. I mean, I completely avoid that place. Because it's just, you don't want to be responsible for that, somebody's grandmother gone.
No, don't go there. Hey.
Yeah. Mike Olivier just walked in the door, the guy I've been talking about. And he's
oh boy.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
What's up, bro?
You got anything you want to say on the podcast? Here.
Just love being in.
Hold on a second, guys. Here, take that.
All right, take that, put that in my ear.
Yeah, Mike.
Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I just arrived, traveling all the way down from Milwaukee, and making sure that we have everything this evening set up for all the lovely pilots that we have here out at in the Midwest, out here in Chicago.
Definitely cool. So, Mike, you're on the podcast right now. So why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background, and then tell us a funny story about Brian West so that we can get him embarrassed.
Right.
Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, Brian, you don't even know what they just asked. So I am Mike. I am the co-founder and the president of Milwaukee Rotocross, which is out of, obviously, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and another fabulous Midwest chapter out here, keeping our pilots happy. And I got into it for the same reason everybody else does, because this is one of the coolest sports to get into. And as we get older, a lot of the other sports hurt. And for us and tough guys, this still makes it cool without having to go to the hospital.
Right.
There we go.
No stitches.
Right. I have yet to get stitches. The only stitches that ever happened are my wife got mad at me and she threw one of my drones at me when I was doing a build with friends over. And she literally looked at me like it was my fault. Like I should upset her. Yeah, but we all know how that goes. But yeah, Brian and I met a little over a year ago And both of us, grumpy Midwest people, looking to do a lot of fun with a lot of attitude and a lot of commitment. And we hit it off. And the CDR guys, I've loved those guys since the day we all met. There's a lot of great guys out here. And so just spent a lot of time, and then we started collaborating. And then I realized Brian was, if I had to choose who I would want to be the next Jenner, it would be Brian. I would love for Brian to go see the doctor and become, maybe we shouldn't have done this when he was 20 feet away. But no, Brian's a great cat. A lot of good connect, and I think with all of us, in this industry, we have to work together. So what worked out great is Brian and I hit it off, and we had a lot of opportunities that the other one could really help out in. And so things took off. Brian and I have done funny things together. Most recently, he took advantage of me at a fun fly we did for one of the clubs. It was hot out, and us big guys, we can't wear a lot of clothes when it's hot out. So I had to remove my fabulous t-shirt. I was busting a move. Music is going, you're in the mood. And I was dancing, and I look at him, he's got the camera on me. I'm like, we better not be live. And he's like, oh. I get a phone call 10 minutes later from the wife saying, you may not have been live, but he posted that.
Oh, that's me.
That's cool.
It happens. It happens. You guys are doing a lot of big things. I got to tell you guys, man, everybody listen to this show. Everybody. A lot of hot topics. You've had Greg Diviner on, another great guy from our area, and Greg's an OG. He is literally an FPV OG. He's got a lot to say with it, and I do like that. You guys keep it real. Grabbing all the right people that are doing things and making moves, because during the winter months it's tough to keep people motivated where we're cold. Oh yeah. And it's things like this that definitely keep us all, at the top of our game. So thank you guys for everything you guys do.
No, we want to, we want to thank you guys for keep going.
We just want to, you go ahead and say it first.
No, I just want to say thank you guys for keep pushing, because you guys are one of the big racing divisions in multi-GP, and we're glad that you guys are racing throughout the winter.
Oh, I had to do it. I do have to point out that, Milwaukee Rotocross did more events than CDR did this year. That's the only one. That's the only one up we really got out of them. They got better T-shirts. They got some really fast pilots, and I figure if we can put on a few more events and keep things going. One thing, you guys, if you guys don't mind me mentioning, is there's
go ahead.
Really cool that we're getting an opportunity to do for the community. We were reached out by one of our local colleges, Milwaukee School of Engineering. It's a engineering college in Milwaukee, in the Midwest. A lot of great people that I know, a lot of very intelligent people in the industry came out of that college. They actually reached out to us, and they want to do a collegiate event, but not just any old collegiate event. They want to start a drone program. And we are in the midst of putting that together. Some dates are going to be announced, and we really hope to see a lot of traction and a lot of top guys come up and bring the entertainment and show the class and the level of pilots we have at where we're at. So I just want people to know, stay tuned for that. The MSOE event in Milwaukee is going to be a really big deal. Live times involved, Heli Nation, Good Venture Drones, all the names that we deal with, and obviously, multi-GP. A lot of big changes going on there. You guys probably know more than I do in multi-GP, but collegiate events are going to be happening more and more. And this is something we're happy to be involved in.
No, it sounds
we
really
only
great.
hear rumors, man. We only hear rumors.
You guys hear
Rumors like
hear the
everybody
rumors
else.
from the guys who know. Yeah, but people talk to you guys. They give us little whispers in a text message randomly. People know
Yeah. I got a degree in investigative reporting.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Well, if my girl's shooting on me with another pilot, you can find out.
Right.
No, that's great to hear. And we'll definitely we'll have you on to talk a little bit about Milwaukee and also about this. Do you know when it's going to be on? When is the schedule for this?
The schedule is they're actually putting together. It actually gained a lot more notoriety in the community out here than was originally planned. The dates will be announced early January. So we're a few weeks out. You got to keep some of it hush hush, obviously, for planning and like that. But the school is, really putting together a lot of love for this and for drones in general. Obviously, a lot of smart, really scheduled. It's actually really being pushed by the veteran group out of there. So, we all love our armed forces and always want to do what we can for them, but to also be involved in the collegiate event. I will definitely let you guys know. I'll shoot you guys an email. And,
Definitely, man. Keep us posted because, we're interested in all these things. There's, we understand there's a lot of things to be done for the community and for the market. And, it's very important to do as much community-based stuff as possible. If you don't do that, then you lose your contact with your feed point, And, like here, I talk to the kids. There's kids and we go to schools and stuff and occasionally and do classes. I do indoor, aerobatics with multi-rotors and gets kids excited, and then like Wise always telling me, stop breaking your stuff in the middle of an interview, but it seems to keep me getting called back.
Oh, no, it does. We lucked out. We got involved with, and I hope that other chapters do this. The Civil Air Patrol. Every Civil Air Patrol everywhere has a youth aerospace program, and that is an awesome group to get involved in. Out here at our Civil Air Patrol. Captain John that runs that thing. When he got us involved, we loved everybody in Milwaukee Rotocross was jumping in on that. Like, these are kids. This is the next generation of pilots. Right. Where gonna help wheel us out of the van and onto the field.
These are the guys that understand that, because they get taught everything about aircraft. From
more than we know.
Weight distribution. Airfoils. When I was younger, when I was a lot younger, we used to do competitions with the Civil Air Patrol against them, and it was for us. It was because I was in junior RTC and RTC. We would do, they would drop a pilot off, drop you off somewhere, and then make you, find your way back home. And those pretty much every year, those guys kicked our asses.
There's nothing to be ashamed about with that. Nothing at all.
No. I want that guy to come looking for me. You know what I'm saying?
To call John. Yeah, no, they're right. Come, let him show you what he can do.
Right.
And these kids, they got way faster reflexes than we do. A lot of them, Zero, those guys that, those young hands, Alex Vanover, these young cats all came from an airplane background and they got it,
Right. They got them steady fingers already.
They do. I watch, my son's actually in the military right now. And, but when he was home and we were playing Call of Duty, like just everything was on point, their hands move right. And it's interesting now that it's turning into more than just a hobby. And we're finally getting to that point where like we can see in the horizon that it's going to be a sport. Like this is going to actually be something, drone racing and these events are going to be something that's bigger than just ESPN2 and, DRL.
We want ESPN1.
Right. We do. We want them to say, you know what? We're not going to watch. We're not going to watch the Bears game. We're going to cancel that, and we're going to put on a drone race. That's what we want. And I think it's getting there. And these kids are going to make that happen. I mean, I really think they are. And support from guys like you, guys like Brian, who just won't quit. You know.
Well, like I talked to Vanover the other day, and he, and I try to reach out to all the pilots, when they're making moves and positive moves. I love positive moves, and I love hearing about practice ethics. I mean, how persistent you are about your practice, because I've always said practice does reduce the amount of times that you make mistakes when you're racing. So the more you practice, the less mistakes you will make, the more confident you will have, and the less shakes you will start off with. Anyway, but those kids, man, they like, because they come from an aircraft background and they know that they got to practice.
Yep.
Evan, Ethan, Vanover, all those kids, man, they are on point. And one of the things I've noticed, I can say this now because I've been talking to a bunch of the kids, the ones that don't practice enough are getting their tails toe up.
Oh, right. They may be able to kick butt at the local 5-man race, but when they get with the big dogs, they're the ones going home with their tail in their leg because they just their attitudes fail, and that's where Alex definitely has one up. His maturity level. He's been around us, and no matter what anybody says, he's always going to be a Wisconsin pilot. He is not a Texan pilot. His name got made in Wisconsin, and we're keeping him. And but those that interact on a mature level and look at this more as a sport and something to be respected. Right. You're 100% right. They're going to treat it differently. They're going to react differently, and it's going to be noticeable when they're racing.
Yeah. And, like when things happen at races, when they change a criteria or they say, okay, well, we're getting short on time. We got to eliminate, double elimination. We're going to single eliminate. You know what I mean? Those things can shake those that are not confident and haven't been practicing enough. It'll shake them, and it's, you can see it in the racing. They're doing well, and then they make one mistake, and instead of the mistake being something that they can recover from, it's a total destruction.
Yep, we see it at events all the time. I mean, guys who, on practice rounds, they're just killing you. They're the guy everybody's rooting for, and then all of a sudden the events happen. We got guys, we got little group in Wisconsin that all the time they're just killing it, and all of a sudden events come and they're just down and about. And then there's guys that have that whole different look upon it. Like everything that you're saying is spot on. I mean, people need to treat it with the respect that it deserves, It's like any other craft. I don't care if you're a machinist, a pilot, a physicist, a chemist, you got to give it the respect it deserves. And that this is
even about. Playing football, you throw if you're a quarterback, you throw the ball, you keep throwing the ball, And the reason why you keep throwing the ball is called practice. So you can consistently put it where it's supposed to be. And if you don't practice, it doesn't matter what you do in this world, you have to practice. You practice programming, you practice, talking, you practice walking, you practice running. You got to do everything. Everything takes time to get consistent and be consistent. And practice is the only way you get there. We're not at that point where I can upload my skill set to Y because he needs it.
Right. We don't have a lot of Michael Jordan, guys who are just born to be dominant. Not a lot of Tiger Woods and stuff. Right. So we got these guys really do have to take that time. I will tell you, I am a fan of guys getting out in the cold on the course, and that's their practice. The simulator, I know it's a good start, but I mean, it really, you need to be in a group of guys. That pressure needs to be there. Everyone in this industry, we razz each other, we make jokes, we encourage each other, all that stuff. And those are those things that, make it real, make it actually happen. And Alex, man, I can't say enough good things about that kid. I mean, from day we met him, you just knew he was going to be banging. And the fact that, that boy crushed me on a couple events, my own event. But you live and learn. Us older guys, we're supposed to sit back. We're supposed to be the organizers. We're supposed to, put in the legwork so that guys like this can have an opportunity.
Definitely. All right, I'm cutting both of you off. Nope, you're done. You're done. Both of you are done.
That's all right.
You've already derailed the podcast for 15 minutes. Okay, we're supposed to be talking.
I'm just excited to be on this podcast. You guys are top of the line. I honestly, I feel like CNN just called me. So you didn't even call me. I got handed off by Brian.
I got my boots on now. Shit.
I feel good now. Hey, we really appreciate that comment. We do our best to try to do the best podcast, the best show that we can to promote this great community of ours. But Mike, you know what? Hey, when you have those dates, definitely ping us so that we can get you on. We can talk about Milwaukee, that upcoming event, and just everything all around it. We'd love to have you on. Seem like, it's a lot of fun to talk to people of the community who really wants to, have that passion to grow that community. You guys have it.
Yeah. Well, keep an eye out for the whole event at CDR, the Dome event. All winter, we'll be banging this stuff out. A lot of top names coming out of here, and they're making moves. So I'm glad to hear from you guys. Hopefully we get back on this, and I'll try to be a little bit quieter next time. But,
no, you don't need to be quieter. Don't worry. You can go on for 2 hours when you have your show.
All right. Yeah, the mic show.
There we go.
That scares a million people. Okay.
Hey, don't that's not unheard of. People come on here all the time, and next week they got their own podcast. It's so much fun to watch, though.
We like just being involved and listening to you guys. Definitely, thank you very much. Brian's putting together gates. We're getting all set up.
Cool. So
night.
Yeah. Hold on. So ask Brian for what account he wants people to reach him, and then you can give us your accounts that you want people to reach you.
Brian, where do you want everybody to reach you at? Where can we reach CDR? Chicago Drone Racers on Facebook.
Chicago Drone Racers on Facebook for Brian. And what about you, Mike?
And then you can reach me at Milwaukee Rotorcross FPV Racing, also at Facebook, or Milwaukee Rotorcross at gmail.com.
There you go. Okay. So before we let you go, Mike, thank you so much for bringing on. Is there any other funny stories that you want to tell about Brian before we cut you off?
There are a ton of funny Brian stories, but I can't talk about them, you guys. We got to keep this respectable. We got
he's being nice.
But right now, I want to tell you, he just picked up about 4 pieces of pipe, and there was a coin slot that I'm being threatened with large.
Okay, so we won't try to get you beaten to death, but don't worry. When you have your podcast and you're alone, you can definitely say it.
We'll talk.
Right. Let you guys know. I'll send you emails. All right, gentlemen, very much. Super appreciate that. CDR appreciates it. Milwaukee appreciates it. You guys keep doing it.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Peace out.
All right.
Bye-bye.